How on earth have we just lost that game? How? What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Project Boro, the series where we review every single Boro game. And as always, if you would much rather listen to these reviewing shows on the go, as well as the Project Boro preview show, jump into the description below of this video. Links to your chosen podcast provider are all down there. And if you want to see, which I'm sure a lot of you probably will, my match day vlog of this game, which includes a lot of shouting, a lot of frustration, then yeah, that will be dropping on the channel pretty soon. So subscribe and look out for that. I'm sure a lot of you fans will enjoy that. What's Isaiah done? He's left him, he sold him short. Oh my God. But today, I am trying to wrap my head around how Boro have gone to Derby, limited them to 3 shots, 2 on target. Boro had 20 shots, 70% possession, and we've lost this game by 1-0. Now, obviously, that's partly a rhetorical question, because it's obvious why we lost that game. Because we made a stupid error and gift-wrapped Derby County their first 3 points back in the Championship. And it reminded me of the Rotherham game last season, which of course I was at, because of course I was. It reminded me of that away game as well, where Rotherham offered absolutely nothing going forward. But via some freak moment, whether it was a huge piece of fortune like the cross that went in straight over Siniding, or this which come from an Isaiah Jones Christmas present, it allowed the opposition to hold on to their lead. And as much as Boro huffed and puffed with possession, we could have been there all year and we would not have scored. And it's an issue that we've had for a long time, and it's an issue that cost us so many points last season, and it's happened again, and it happened so often at home at the Riverside last season as well. Simply put, if you're on away side or you're just playing the Boro and you either go in front or you're at the Riverside and you're the away side, park the bus, because we simply cannot break down teams that sit deep and defend. We dropped so many points last season against sides in the bottom 6. We won so often against the top teams who are obviously going to come to Boro, play football against Boro, attack Boro. It's clear it happened on Wednesday night with Leeds. We are so effective and we're so good when teams come at us and we can catch them out going the other way on the transition. But when a team decides to sit back and park the bus and put all 10 men, outfield players behind the ball, we just cannot get through. We cannot get the goal. We cannot break through. And that lost us so many points. And that is such a huge thing we have to crack if we want to go up into that next level. Because there will be games like this so often this season. There'll probably be one next week when Portsmouth come to Riverside so often. And yep, it's kind of a compliment to Boro that teams are feeling like they have to do this when they play us, but we're going to have this so often this season, and probably even more often, given the fact that we've strengthened our team and that we have so many attacking options. Teams are going to do this constantly, and if we are to win these big games, these tight games, we have to try and find a way to unlock these defences. And if today was anything to go by, we still have a long way of going to do that, because I'm going to be frank, I'm going to be completely honest, and I'm going to get my praise for Derby out the way first before their fans watch this and think I'm just going to trash on Derby. Kane Jackson took his goal incredibly well. He took it very well, played through by one of Boro's own players. He went round the goalkeeper, fantastic composure, given the fact that he pretty much had the Boro half to himself, had a lot of time to think about what he was going to do, and I will praise Derby for how they defended after that, because I thought they defended incredibly well. But they, other than that, offered nothing. Going forward, they offered nothing. The only other notable attempt came from a Boro error in the first half, a bit like Swansea. The only times we're giving opponents chances are through our own errors. We're not being carved through, cut open in open play by anybody. It's like last season again. Individual errors are what are giving teams opportunities. We're shooting ourselves in the foot again, giving the opposition chances. And in this case, we were punished because other than that, Caden Jackson had another effort that came from a ridiculous suicide ball inside by Lucas Engel. We then failed to clear our lines with Ayling absolutely walloping it in the air. Rav then lost a duel. Other than that, Derby offered nothing. They were absolutely blunt going forward. They had nothing. They had a few set pieces, which I thought were going to be their main threat, that didn't bother Boro all that much. And I said it on my preview shows, I was worried about the occasion more than Derby themselves. I thought it's going to be a hostile environment. I thought it was going to be loud. I thought it was going to be tough. I thought they were going to put pressure on us. But there was none of that. The occasion was nothing like I expected it to be. Boro were under no pressure whatsoever. The atmosphere wasn't that hostile. It was a comfortable afternoon for Boro, or it should have been, because Derby didn't press us. They didn't put us under any pressure. They were happy to sit back and defend. And you know what? If they've got confidence in themselves that they can do that, then that's fantastic, because they're very good at it, clearly. Is it going to keep them up? Is it going to win them enough games? Probably not, because for me, had Boro scored first in this game, we'd have went on to win it, because Derby would have had to come out and chase the game, and we saw this against Blackburn last week. When Derby come out and chase a game, and they didn't have to do this an awful lot last season, they're just so open. Boro, like we did against Leeds, we'd have picked them off with ease. And even if Boro had equalised here, I would have put my mortgage on us going on and winning the game. But the worst case scenario, the one scenario that we just did not want to happen, was what happened here. And that was that Boro gifted Derby that opening goal. And the first goal in this game was absolutely imperative. And it's so frustrating. You know, if Derby had, even if they'd have scored from a set piece, fair enough, they're playing to their strengths. They would have got a goal. Great. Even if they'd played a nice bit of football from a cross or something, you say, okay, fair enough. And then they hang on, and you go, they've done us. They've done us. They've absolutely FM'd us. They've got their goal. They've hung on. That's fair enough. That's what a lot of newly promoted teams probably have to do sometimes. But the fact that it came from one of our own stupid errors makes this even more frustrating. And we've got to sort this out, because it will lose us vital points in the long run. And right now, short term, yep, it's only the second game of the season. We've still done a lot better than what we did this time last season, so I'm not panicking. I'm not getting massively annoyed or infuriated in terms of the bigger picture, but just looking at this game as an isolated event, it was one of the most frustrating games of football I think I've ever seen. Now, I'm going to actually start this a bit differently. Normally we look at the stats at the end, but I'm going to show you guys the stats and the shot map. This is Boro's dominance. Possession, ridiculous. Shots and shots on target, For 20 shots on goal, 4 on target is not good enough. And to be honest, from 20 shots, 1.73 XG isn't good enough. Derby limited us to pop shots from range, really. We had 1 goal disallowed from Bergzorg. He also had another that was deflected onto the post. Hackney had a couple of efforts. Engel did. Literally, I can't even list all the attempts Boro had, and if you watch the highlights of this game, it's just Boro attack after attack after attack. I'm just going to play them over the top of the video because there's too many to list, but the shot map shows you, and just the stats show you, that Boro absolutely battered Derby for large spells. But the fact of the matter is, we didn't do enough in the final third. Did Derby ride their luck? I mean, maybe at times with Boro hitting the post and stuff, but can I also say Boro carved open absolute clear-cut chances where you say he has to score there? Not really. You know, the saves their goalkeeper was forced into making were decent saves, but we weren't making him make ridiculous saves. So, you know, from a creative point of view, it was sort of all possession, no punch from Boro, really. And of course, I go back to the opening goal. I've not mentioned it by name yet, but it's infuriating from Isaiah Jones. You know, the only goal of the game one of Derby's only 2 real attacks in the whole game. It is a terrible pass back from Isaiah Jones. I mean, I don't know how he has managed to put so little power on that ball. I mean, he's sold the Yang so short. You've just got your head in your hands. It's absolutely infuriating. And as I say, you give them something to hold on to, they will hold on to it. And we threw everything at the, Tommy Conway, come on, Josh Coburn, come on. But you could just sense that it was just not going to drop for us. And I thought we really had to score at the end of the first half because Derby were just defending for their lives, and I just had no faith and trust in Boro that we were going to get through at any stage at all. It was really, really frustrating. And there were a few performances that weren't the best today. To be fair, Senny Dieng got a 5.6 in goal. He didn't have a save to make at all, barring Caden Jackson's earlier effort, which was a pretty straightforward one. And the defence didn't have much to do either. I was expecting more from Derby's wingers, but Ayling did pretty well. Matt Clark, again, put in some outstanding challenges. Engel, though, didn't have a good game. And it was a worrying performance from Lucas Engel today. He does not look like a left-back with much confidence, I'll be honest. The idea with how Boro play and how we attack is that we drag the opposition across to that right-hand side, and then we open up so much space for Engel down the left. And we saw this unbelievably work so effectively when Ryan Giles was in the team. We allow him to have so much time on the left, gives him the chance to whip them balls into the box. But every time Engel was in space, he was picking the ball up, refusing to take on his man, and just passing back inside to Matt Clark again. And when he did put a delivery in, it was poor. I don't know if he looks like a player who is low on confidence at the minute, but, with Engel, you sort of, when we brought him in, you think, well, he's not going to be Ryan Giles, obviously, but he'll probably add more defensively to warrant him being in the team. What we lose offensively, he can warrant with his defensive capabilities. But honestly, looking at it, I don't think the improvement defensively that he offers compared to Giles outbalances what he offers offensively. I think he's an okay defender at best, but he's giving us nothing going forward at this point. And I'd much rather have a left-back that is just absolutely bombing on, just with no real thought about defending and putting them balls into the box and giving us that little bit of width, because really, Bergzog's going to cut inside, McGree's going to want to cut inside. That's what our left wingers do. You need the left back to provide width, and Engel just is not doing that at the moment. I think it's a huge part of our team that could be so much better and so much more potent and dangerous, and it just isn't. But anyway, midfield-wise, it was okay. Hackney and Morris were playing the ball around pretty nicely, but, I mean, when you've got 8 or 9 men in front of you, all you can do is just try and pass the ball, keep it moving, hope that the attackers can do something. So they did okay. And then, the attackers were okay. I mean, Azaz, to be fair to him, kept trying to make things happen, but I mean, it was so congested, in front of their box and in and around their box. There were just bodies everywhere. So for Azaz to, try and pick out a pass and find a gap, it was so difficult for him. I think he did okay, to be fair, and Bergzog did too. I thought, given the fact, again, there was, so many Derby players in defence, he posed a real threat at times. He had the shot that clipped the post. He had another few efforts. He really did provide a little bit of a spark for us. It's a shame his finishing wasn't better on the whole, but he was really unlucky with the ball that hit the post. And Jones didn't have a good game, if I'm honest. Didn't really offer much down the right-hand side. Had 1 or 2 efforts, but I wouldn't say it was a nuisance. And of course, the back pass is just an absolute horror show. It's something you just don't want to see and you want to forget with a hurry. And to be fair, Lath didn't have the best game either. Didn't ever really have a big chance presented to him. It's a shame because he would have broken the record had he scored today for scoring in the most consecutive number of games since the EFL was rebranded in 2004. He would have broke the record for scoring in 8 straight championship games today, but quite frankly, as I say, it was so congested. They were sitting so low and so deep. Lath's not going to get in behind. It's so difficult for us to play to his strengths when he's surrounded by so many defenders that are sitting so deep. He couldn't really have as much of an impact on the game, but that's my point. Derby were able to sit so deep because they had something to hold on to. They had a goal that was handed to them, and they were happy to just keep clearing the ball into Boro's half, get back in their shape, and as ugly as it was and frustrating as it it's got them the win, and you can only hold your hands up and say fair enough. You know, Boro we put ourselves in this position. We gave ourselves too much to do, and I still stand by what I say. If we'd have scored first or even equalised, I think the floodgates would have opened, but the goal never came, and it was all Boro's own doing. So, I'm not really going to look at the table, to be honest, because it's only 2 games, and I'm not going to get too carried away. But I think the bigger picture for me is that Boro simply have to try and find a fix for this. We have to, whether it's a change in tactic, different personnel, we have to try and find a way of breaking down teams that are going to do this. I mean, first of all, we need to cut out the individual errors, because they cost us massively last season, and it was the same against Swansea last week. The only chances they really had were through Boro themselves. So we need to cut out the individual errors firstly, and then even then we need to stop handing the opposition goals. And if we do come up against the side that's going to sit back and defend, we must be better at breaking them down and getting through, because 1 goal can lead to 2, can lead to 3. Once you get the first and they've got to come out and they commit bodies forward, that will be perfect for Boro, because we can then catch them on the counter and we will reel off 2, 3, 4, I'm sure, at times this season. But it's getting the first goal, and that's not what we were doing enough last season. We've got better players this year. We've got to start doing it. So, yeah, I'm not going to kick off. I'm not going to be furious. I mean, I'm absolutely annoyed, yes, that I've now gone to my 15th away game in the league and I still haven't seen Boro bloody win. And of course, I'm getting pelters for being the Boro curse, and to be honest, I'm starting to believe it myself at this point. God knows when I'm next going to put myself through an away game. I think for the course, I might just stay away for the time being and hopefully just see Boro win away from home and settle a little bit into this season. But yeah, this was just an unbelievably frustrating game of football, and one that was completely down to our own doing. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, your review of the game, who stood out both in a good way and a bad way, any changes made to the team. Obviously Portsmouth is up next, and as I say, could be a similar kind of game there. You know, I'm not going to just presume Port and Pompey are going to come and just sit back. I'm sure they'll want to be a bit more adventurous than that, but they certainly won't be absolutely chucking men forward left, right and centre for Boro. They will be very, very solid like they were against Leeds. Boro have to do better next week, otherwise we'll be going through a similar scenario, and we can't have similar home form to what we had last season, especially against the bottom 6 or 7 or 8 sides, assuming Pompey will be in and around that part of the table. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for much more. We do lots of Boro and football related content to come. There will be a preview show this week on Pompey and that game, so look forward to that, as well as other championship content to come. As I said, do like this video. It really helps support the video and the channel out. And if you are listening on your podcast provider, just give me a like and a rating and a review. That would be absolutely brilliant. And until the next one, guys, just when you thought things were getting good, Middlesbrough Football Club always find a way to just drag you down back to earth again, don't they? Typical bloody Boro. I'll see you guys in the next one.